Imagine waking up every morning knowing that your every gesture, word, and even the way you hold your teacup is being watched by millions. Now imagine that beyond the public scrutiny, there exists a shadow world of unwritten rules, so bizarre and specific that they would make your head spin. This is the reality Princess Catherine faces every single day. While the world sees the glamorous gowns, sparkling tiaras, and perfect smiles, behind the palace walls lies a complex web of traditions, expectations, and protocols that have never been written down in any official handbook. These are the rules passed down through whispered conversations, learned through embarrassing mistakes, and enforced through subtle gestures and raised eyebrows. From the moment she said, "I do," to Prince William, Catherine's life became governed by invisible chains of etiquette that would challenge even the most disciplined individual. Some of these rules are so absurd they sound like fiction, others so intricate they require years to master, and a few so deeply personal they touch every aspect of her private life. What happens when a commoner suddenly finds herself bound by centuries of unspoken royal tradition? How does someone navigate a world where the wrong shade of nail polish can cause a diplomatic incident, where the angle of a curtsy can determine your place in the hierarchy, and where even your choice of handbag sends coded messages to those who know how to read them? This is the untold story of Princess Catherine's transformation from Kate Middleton, university student, to one of the most watched women in the world. It's a journey through the hidden corridors of royal protocol, where every rule learned opens the door to 10 more, and where the price of a single mistake can echo through history. These are the 21 unwritten rules that govern her life. Rules that exist in no handbook, taught by no teacher, yet more binding than any law. Welcome to the secret world of modern royalty, where tradition meets reality in the most unexpected ways. The morning sun filtered through the heavy curtains of Kensington Palace as Catherine began another day that would be governed by rules she never knew existed until she became part of the royal family. The first lesson came early in her relationship with William, during a simple family dinner at Windsor Castle. As she reached for her wineglass with her left hand, she noticed the subtle but unmistakable look of disapproval from Queen Elizabeth. Later, William would explain the first unwritten rule that would shape her royal life forever. A royal must never drink from a glass with their left hand, as it suggests poor breeding and lack of proper education. This seemingly insignificant moment marked the beginning of Catherine's education in the invisible world of royal protocol. Unlike the written rules that govern state occasions and official ceremonies, these unwritten laws penetrate every aspect of daily life. From the way she sits in a car to the manner in which she greets palace staff. They exist in the space between tradition and expectation, passed down through generations of royals who learned them not through instruction manuals, but through the painful process of trial and error. The handbag rule became one of the most crucial lessons in Catherine's early royal education. Every royal watcher knows that the Queen's handbag serves as a silent communication device, signaling to her staff when she wishes to end a conversation or move to the next engagement. But Catherine discovered that her own handbag choices carried equally significant messages. A clutch purse suggests formality and distance, keeping hands free for proper greetings while maintaining an elegant silhouette. A shoulder bag, however, can appear too casual for certain occasions and might suggest accessibility that could be misinterpreted in diplomatic settings. The complexity deepened when Catherine learned that the handbag must never be placed on the ground, regardless of convenience or comfort. This rule stems from the belief that placing a purse on the floor invites financial misfortune and shows disrespect for the items within. During her first state dinner as the Duchess of Cambridge, Catherine found herself holding her small evening bag throughout the entire meal, a practice that initially seemed absurd but gradually became second nature. Position and posture represent another layer of unwritten protocol that governs Catherine's daily existence. The royal sitting position requires feet together, legs slanted to one side, never crossed at the knee in public settings. This pose, often called the Duchess slant, maintains modesty while appearing graceful in photographs. However, the rule extends beyond simple leg positioning. Shoulders must remain square, hands folded gently, and head held at an angle that suggests both confidence and humility. During car rides, Catherine learned that royals must enter vehicles in a specific manner that prevents any unseemly glimpses while maintaining dignity. The technique requires sitting down first, then swinging both legs into the vehicle together, a movement that took months to master without appearing awkward or rehearsed. William would often practice with her in private, both of them laughing at the absurdity of needing lessons for something as simple as getting into a car. The jewelry protocols presented their own unique challenges. Beyond the obvious rules about when to wear tiaras and formal pieces, Catherine discovered that even everyday jewelry carries significant meaning in royal circles. Wedding rings must always be worn, regardless of personal preference or comfort. as their absence would immediately spark speculation about the state of her marriage. The Queen's jewelry, when loaned to Catherine for special occasions, comes with unspoken responsibilities about care, wear, and return that extend far beyond simple borrowing etiquette. Pearls hold particular significance in royal tradition, representing purity, wisdom, and continuity of the monarchy. Catherine learned that wearing pearls to certain events sends specific messages about respect for tradition and understanding of royal history. However, the choice of pearl jewelry also indicates her position within the royal hierarchy, with certain pieces reserved for senior royals and others appropriate for her current status as the Princess of Wales. Colour coordination became another complex area of unwritten rules that Catherine had to master. While she could never wear the same outfit twice to major public events, she also couldn't choose colours arbitrarily. Bright yellow, for instance, might be perfect for a children's charity event, but entirely inappropriate for a memorial service. Deep purple suggests mourning or solemnity, while pastels convey approachability and warmth. Red can appear bold and confident or aggressive and attention-seeking, depending on the shade, style, and occasion. The most challenging aspect of these color rules involves coordinating with other royal family members without appearing to compete or overshadow. During joint appearances, Catherine must consider not only the appropriateness of her outfit for the event, but also how it will appear alongside the clothing choices of other royals. This requires advanced coordination, and sometimes last-minute changes when conflicts arise. Photography protocols represent perhaps the most invasive aspect of Catherine's unwritten rules. Every public appearance is documented extensively, and she must remain constantly aware of how her image will be captured and interpreted. The rule about smiling requires careful balance. Too little and she appears unhappy or aloof. Too much and she seems frivolous or inappropriate for serious occasions. The timing and intensity of her smiles must match the gravity of each event, while maintaining the warmth and accessibility that has become her public trademark. Hand gestures fall under strict unwritten guidelines that Catherine continues to navigate carefully. Pointing is absolutely forbidden, even when directing attention to important exhibits or people. Instead, royals use an open-handed gesture that indicates without seeming commanding. Applause must be measured and appropriate. Enthusiastic enough to show appreciation but restrained enough to maintain royal dignity. Even the simple act of waving requires specific technique, with the hand moving from the wrist rather than the elbow, creating the distinctive royal wave that appears both friendly and regal. The dining rules extend far beyond basic etiquette into territory that would surprise most people. Catherine learned that she must never finish her plate completely, as this might suggest either greed or that she hasn't been fed properly. However, leaving too much food could insult the chef or suggest waste during times when many people struggle with hunger. The balance requires careful attention throughout every meal, whether private family dinners or state banquets. Conversation topics during public events must be carefully chosen to avoid controversy while remaining engaging and memorable for those she meets. Catherine developed the skill of asking questions that allow others to share their experiences, while avoiding subjects that might create awkward situations or unwanted headlines. She learned that certain topics, no matter how innocent they might seem, could be misinterpreted or taken out of context by media observers. The unwritten rules about public displays of affection initially surprised Catherine with their complexity. While she and William can show appropriate affection during public appearances, the timing, duration, and nature of such displays must align with royal expectations. A brief touch of hands during a somber occasion shows unity and support, while the same gesture during a celebration might appear restrained or distant. Learning to navigate these nuances required developing an almost telepathic communication with William, allowing them to coordinate their public behavior seamlessly. Personal space protocols dictate how Catherine interacts with everyone from foreign dignitaries to excited children during walkabouts. She must maintain appropriate distance while appearing warm and accessible, a balance that requires constant adjustment based on cultural expectations and individual circumstances. The handshake itself becomes an art form, with pressure, duration, and eye contact all carrying significance that extends far beyond simple greeting. Gift receiving presented another area of complex unwritten rules that Catherine had to master. Public gifts from children or well-wishers must be accepted graciously, but the manner of acceptance sends important messages about royal values and accessibility. She learned to receive flowers with both hands, to examine handmade cards with genuine interest, and to respond to unusual gifts with appreciation rather than confusion, regardless of their appropriateness or practicality. These early lessons in unwritten royal protocol would prove to be just the beginning of Catherine's education in navigating life as a senior royal. Each rule learned revealed layers of complexity that touched every aspect of her existence, from the most public ceremonies to the most private family moments. The invisible chains of protocol that initially seemed restrictive gradually became the framework within which she would build her own unique approach to royal duty. Within the walls of Buckingham Palace and beyond, Catherine quickly discovered that the royal family operates on a sophisticated system of silent communication that rivals any diplomatic code. These unspoken signals, passed between family members through subtle glances, strategic positioning, and carefully chosen accessories, form a language that outsiders rarely recognize but insiders understand instinctively. Mastering this silent vocabulary became essential for Catherine's survival in the complex web of royal relationships and public expectations. The earring rule emerged as one of the most fascinating aspects of this silent communication system. Catherine learned that removing one earring during a conversation signals distress or discomfort to other royals, who might be able to intervene or redirect the situation. This technique proved invaluable during lengthy receiving lines or diplomatic receptions where she might encounter awkward questions or uncomfortable exchanges. The simple gesture of touching or adjusting an earring became her subtle way of requesting assistance without appearing rude or creating public awkwardness. Brooch positioning carries equally significant meaning within royal circles, serving as a visual code that communicates everything from family loyalties to political positions. When Catherine wears a brooch given to her by the Queen, its placement on her left shoulder indicates respect and allegiance to traditional values. Moving the same brooch to her right shoulder might suggest a more progressive stance or indicate support for modernizing certain royal practices. These subtle shifts in jewelry positioning allow for communication that bypasses official statements while still conveying important messages to those educated enough to interpret them. The glove protocol revealed another layer of royal communication that Catherine needed to master. White gloves during daytime events suggest formality and traditional respect, while going gloveless indicates a desire for more personal connection with the public. However, the timing of glove removal during events carries its own significance. Removing gloves before greeting disabled veterans shows respect and equality, while keeping them on during the same interaction might suggest concern about hygiene or distance. Catherine learned to read situations quickly, making split-second decisions about glove etiquette that could affect how her actions were perceived and reported. Facial expressions required careful calibration to navigate the complex expectations of royal composure while maintaining human warmth and relatability. The royal smile became an art form that Catherine spent months perfecting, genuine enough to appear sincere, controlled enough to maintain dignity, and flexible enough to adapt to any situation from children's hospitals to state funerals. She discovered that different types of smiles communicate distinct messages. The closed-mouth smile suggests serious engagement. The open smile indicates joy and celebration, while the slight upward turn of lips shows polite acknowledgement without full enthusiasm. Eye contact rules proved particularly challenging during large public events where Catherine needed to acknowledge hundreds of people without appearing to favor anyone or ignore others. The technique involves brief, meaningful contact with individuals throughout a crowd, creating the impression of personal connection while maintaining royal dignity. During receiving lines, she learned to hold eye contact for exactly 3 seconds with each person. Long enough to seem genuinely interested, short enough to maintain appropriate pace and prevent awkward lingering. The positioning game became crucial during family photographs and public appearances, where the arrangement of royal family members communicates hierarchy, relationships, and current dynamics within the monarchy. Catherine's position in group settings indicates her status and the institution's confidence in her role. Standing slightly behind senior royals shows appropriate deference, while being positioned prominently suggests growing importance and trust.
Learning to read these spatial relationships helped Catherine understand her evolving role within the family structure.
Curtsy depth and timing represent another sophisticated form of royal communication that Catherine mastered through careful observation and practice. The angle and duration of her curtsy to other royal family members indicates respect while acknowledging her own position within the hierarchy. A deeper curtsy to the Queen shows ultimate deference, while a slight inclination of the head toward other royals maintains courtesy without suggesting subservience. The timing of these gestures during public events can reinforce family unity, or, if mismanaged, create awkward moments that generate unwanted speculation. Handbag switching emerged as one of the most practical communication tools in Catherine's arsenal. Carrying her bag on the right arm leaves the left hand free for greetings and interactions, while switching to the left arm might signal the need to end conversations or move to the next engagement. During lengthy events, the handbag becomes a prop that helps manage timing and social flow without appearing rude or dismissive to well-meaning members of the public. The walking pace protocol revealed itself as another crucial element of royal communication. Catherine learned that her walking speed during public engagement sends messages about her level of engagement and the importance of various activities. Slowing down while approaching certain groups or individuals indicates special interest and respect, while maintaining steady pace suggests efficiency and professionalism. During joint appearances with William, their synchronized walking demonstrates unity and partnership, while subtle variations in timing can highlight different aspects of their individual roles. Seasonal accessory choices became another avenue for silent communication that Catherine gradually mastered. Wearing particular brooches or jewelry pieces associated with specific regions during visits to those areas shows knowledge and respect for local history. Choosing accessories with military connections during events honoring veterans communicates understanding and appreciation for their service. These carefully selected details rarely generate headlines, but create meaningful connections with particular audiences who recognize the significance of her choices. Temperature management presented unique communication challenges that Catherine needed to address without appearing uncomfortable or unprofessional. Royal protocol demands maintaining composure regardless of weather conditions, but subtle adjustments in posture, movement, and accessory use can communicate adaptability and human relatability. Learning to manage heavy formal wear during summer events or inadequate protection during winter ceremonies became part of her public performance that required both physical and emotional resilience. The chair selection rule emerged during formal dinners and state occasions where seating arrangements communicate diplomatic relationships and royal hierarchies. Catherine discovered that accepting the offered chair without hesitation shows confidence and understanding of protocol, while any hesitation might suggest uncertainty about her position or discomfort with established arrangements. The way she sits in the assigned chair, posture, positioning, and engagement with table mates further communicates her comfort level and understanding of her role. Flower acceptance became another area where silent communication proved essential. The manner in which Catherine receives bouquets from children and well-wishers sends messages about royal accessibility and warmth. Accepting flowers with both hands shows respect and appreciation, while the time spent examining them indicates genuine interest, rather than perfunctory acknowledgement. Her choice to either hand flowers to assistants immediately, or hold them for extended periods, communicates different levels of sentimentality and connection with the gift givers. Menu navigation during state dinners required mastering silent signals that help coordinate service while maintaining dinner conversation flow. Catherine learned that touching her wine glass lightly signals servers without interrupting ongoing discussions, while positioning her silverware in specific patterns communicates her status with each course. These subtle signals ensure smooth service without creating awkward pauses or drawing attention to practical needs during important diplomatic meals. Photography cooperation became a sophisticated dance of silent communication between Catherine and the press corps that follows royal events. Understanding where photographers position themselves allows her to angle her body and direct her attention in ways that create flattering images while maintaining natural appearance. Learning to anticipate camera angles and lighting helps ensure that her expressions and gestures are captured in ways that support rather than undermine her public image. The umbrella protocol emerged as particularly important during unpredictable British weather that often affects outdoor royal events. Catherine's decision to accept or decline umbrella assistance communicates different messages about her resilience and connection with crowds who might also be experiencing uncomfortable weather. Sharing umbrella space with other royals shows unity, while maintaining separate coverage preserves individual dignity and prevents unflattering photographs. Voice modulation became another tool in Catherine's arsenal of silent communication, as the tone, volume, and pace of her speech during public events conveyed different messages about her comfort level and engagement. Speaking slightly louder when greeting elderly veterans shows respect and consideration for potential hearing difficulties, while lowering her voice when speaking with children creates intimacy and approachability. These vocal adjustments happen instinctively, but require conscious development to master effectively. Personal space management during walkabouts requires constant adjustment as Catherine navigates crowds of varying density and enthusiasm. Maintaining appropriate distance while appearing accessible requires reading crowd dynamics and individual body language to ensure both security and positive interactions. Learning to step forward for handshakes while maintaining retreat options or positioning herself to encourage orderly greeting lines became essential skills for successful public engagements that satisfy both protocol requirements and public expectations. Time operates differently in the royal world, and Catherine quickly learned that mastering its invisible rhythms would determine her success in navigating complex social and ceremonial situations. Unlike the punctuality expected in ordinary social settings, royal timing follows intricate patterns that consider hierarchy, tradition, and the delicate balance of maintaining dignity while appearing accessible. These temporal rules govern everything from the precise moment of arrival at events to the carefully calculated duration of conversations with dignitaries and members of the public. The arrival sequence became one of Catherine's earliest lessons in royal timing protocols. During her first major state event as William's fiancée, she discovered that arriving too early suggests overcaginess or anxiety, while arriving too late appears disrespectful and disorganized. The perfect royal arrival requires calculating travel time, security preparations, and the precise moment that creates appropriate anticipation without keeping senior royals or important guests waiting. She learned to time her entrance to occur exactly 3 minutes before the scheduled start, allowing for final preparations while demonstrating respect for the event's importance. Conversation duration proved to be one of the most challenging aspects of royal timing to master. During receiving lines and walkabouts, Catherine must gauge the appropriate length of interaction with each person based on their position, the nature of the event, and the number of people waiting. Spending too long with one individual, regardless of how engaging the conversation might be, creates inequality and delays that affect everyone else in line. However, moving too quickly suggests disinterest or rudeness that could generate negative publicity and hurt feelings. The 3-minute rule emerged as a crucial guideline during public engagements where Catherine greets large numbers of people. This time frame allows for genuine connection, enough to ask a meaningful question, receive an answer, and provide thoughtful response, while maintaining the pace necessary to acknowledge everyone waiting. She developed techniques for extending conversations naturally when situations warrant more time, such as when meeting war veterans or bereaved families, while diplomatically shortening interactions that might otherwise monopolize attention. Meal timing presented its own complex set of unwritten rules that Catherine had to master across different cultural contexts and formal settings. During state dinners, she learned that the royal family must wait for all guests to be served before beginning each course, but also that finishing too long before others suggests either dislike of the food or eagerness to end the meal. The delicate balance requires pacing consumption to match the general rhythm of the table while appearing natural and unforced. The gift opening ceremony timing became particularly important during visits to schools and community centers, where children often present handmade items or special presentations. Catherine discovered that the speed with which she unwraps gifts and examines their contents communicates her level of appreciation and interest. Rushing through multiple gifts suggests impatience, while dwelling too long on individual items creates awkward waiting periods for excited children. She developed a rhythm that allows adequate appreciation for each gift while maintaining excitement and energy throughout the presentation process. Applause. Timing revealed another layer of royal protocol that requires careful attention and quick adaptation to different cultural expectations. Catherine learned to begin applause at the appropriate moment following speeches or performances, but also to gauge the proper duration and enthusiasm level based on the content and significance of what was being acknowledged. Her applause often signals to others when it's appropriate to begin or end their own acknowledgement, making her timing crucial for maintaining proper ceremonial flow. The departure sequence proved equally complex, as leaving too quickly might suggest disengagement or dissatisfaction, while staying too long could create scheduling difficulties for subsequent events, or impose on hosts who might have their own timing constraints. Catherine mastered the art of signaling her intention to leave through subtle cues, adjusting her handbag position, making closing remarks, or positioning herself near exits, while allowing hosts the dignity of formally concluding the visit. Photography session timing became crucial as Catherine learned to work within the constraints of media schedules while ensuring that important moments were properly captured for historical and promotional purposes. She discovered that allowing adequate time for formal photographs while maintaining the spontaneity that creates compelling images requires careful coordination with photographers and event organizers. Rushing through photo opportunities results in stiff formal images, while allowing too much time can create artificial situations that appear staged and uncomfortable. Sleep and preparation scheduling represent hidden aspects of royal timing that significantly impact Catherine's public performance. The demands of royal duties require maintaining energy and alertness across long days filled with multiple events, different audiences, and varying emotional demands. She learned to structure her private time to ensure adequate rest while accommodating the irregular schedules that characterize royal life, including international travel, late evening events, and early morning engagements that might occur on consecutive days. Weather contingency timing became essential for outdoor events where conditions might change rapidly and require quick adaptation of schedules and arrangements. Catherine developed skills in reading weather patterns and adjusting her timing to maximize outdoor activities during favorable conditions while having backup plans that could be implemented smoothly if necessary. This requires coordination with security teams, event organizers, and media representatives who all need advance notice of potential changes. Religious ceremony timing presented unique challenges where traditional liturgical rhythms must be respected while accommodating modern media and public expectations. Catherine learned to navigate the different pacing of various religious services, from quick blessing ceremonies to lengthy state occasions, while maintaining appropriate reverence and engagement throughout. Understanding when to stand, sit, or participate in responses requires advanced preparation and careful attention to ceremonial cues. Travel timing between events became a crucial skill as Catherine's schedule often includes multiple engagements in different locations throughout single days. Calculating journey time while accounting for traffic, security protocols, and potential delays requires working closely with advanced teams while maintaining flexibility for unexpected circumstances. She learned to use travel time productively for preparation, rest, or private consultations, while remaining ready to adjust schedules if earlier events run longer than anticipated. Speech timing presented another complex challenge where the length and pacing of Catherine's remarks must align with event schedules while delivering meaningful content that resonates with specific audiences. She developed skills in adjusting prepared remarks based on audience energy, time constraints, and the flow of events while maintaining the key messages and themes that support her charitable work and royal duties. This flexibility requires extensive preparation but allows for authentic connection with diverse groups. Child interaction timing proved particularly important during school visits and family-oriented events, where young people's attention spans and energy levels create unique scheduling considerations. Catherine learned to structure activities and conversations in ways that maintain children's engagement while accomplishing educational and charitable objectives. Understanding when to move between activities, how to handle spontaneous moments, and when to conclude interactions before energy wanes became essential skills for successful youth-focused events. Security coordination timing became a constant consideration, as Catherine's movements must be synchronized with protection teams while maintaining the appearance of natural, unguarded interaction with the public. Learning to work within security timeframes while preserving spontaneity requires trusting professional judgment while developing instincts for potential risks or concerns that might require schedule modifications. Seasonal timing considerations affect everything from clothing choices to event planning, as Catherine's calendar must account for British weather patterns, agricultural cycles, and traditional seasonal celebrations that shape public expectations and media coverage. Understanding how different times of year affect audience expectations and event logistics helps in planning meaningful engagements that align with natural rhythms, while supporting ongoing charitable initiatives. Media deadline timing became increasingly important, as Catherine learned to coordinate her public statements and appearances with news cycles and publication schedules that could maximize positive coverage while minimizing conflicts with other royal family activities or important national events. Working with communications teams to time announcements, photo releases, and public appearances requires understanding both traditional media patterns and modern social media dynamics. Private family timing represents perhaps the most challenging aspect of Catherine's schedule management, as she must balance public duties with personal relationships and private family time that receives little public recognition but remains essential for maintaining the relationships that support her public role. Creating protected time for marriage, motherhood, and personal renewal requires careful coordination but ensures the authenticity that makes her public engagements meaningful and sustainable. Emergency response timing became a crucial skill as unexpected events from personal health issues to national crises require rapid schedule adjustments while maintaining royal dignity and public confidence. Catherine learned to adapt quickly to changing circumstances while communicating changes clearly to all affected parties, ensuring that necessary modifications appear thoughtful rather than chaotic or poorly planned. Navigating relationships within the royal family requires Catherine to master a complex web of hierarchies, histories, and unspoken expectations that extend far beyond simple family dynamics. Each interaction carries weight that reaches beyond personal feelings into institutional significance, public perception, and centuries of precedent. The delicate balance between maintaining family harmony and preserving individual dignity while serving the greater good of the monarchy creates constant challenges that Catherine has learned to navigate with increasing skill and confidence. The grandmother-in-law relationship with Queen Elizabeth presented Catherine with her most formidable challenge in royal relationship management. Beyond the obvious respect due to a monarch, Catherine needed to develop genuine personal connection with a woman whose life experience and perspective differed dramatically from her own. She learned that the Queen appreciated directness tempered with appropriate deference, and that personal conversations required careful attention to topics that interested rather than burdened someone who carried the weight of national responsibility for decades. Building trust with the Queen meant proving reliability in small matters that demonstrated larger capabilities. Catherine discovered that arriving precisely on time for private meetings, remembering details from previous conversations, and showing genuine interest in royal history and traditions created foundations for deeper relationship. The Queen's approval became evident through subtle signs: inclusion in private family events, loans of significant jewelry, and gradual expansion of Catherine's official duties rather than explicit verbal acknowledgement. Brother-in-law relationships proved equally complex as Catherine navigated her connection with Prince Harry while supporting her husband's relationship with his only sibling. The dynamics shifted significantly over time, requiring constant adjustment as circumstances changed and family tensions developed. Catherine learned to maintain personal affection while respecting institutional loyalties, walking carefully between her role as William's wife and her genuine care for Harry's well-being during difficult periods. The process of developing these relationships required understanding that every family gathering, however private it might seem, carried public implications. Casual conversations could be misinterpreted or taken out of context if they became public, requiring Catherine to maintain awareness of potential consequences while still nurturing authentic family connections. She learned to express support and affection in ways that could withstand public scrutiny without sacrificing sincerity. Staff relationship management became crucial as Catherine discovered that royal households operate on complex hierarchies where personal staff, security teams, and administrative support all required different approaches and levels of trust. Building positive relationships with people who manage her daily life while maintaining appropriate boundaries required skills that Catherine developed through observation and experience rather than formal instruction. The relationship with personal protection officers required particular attention as these individuals maintained constant proximity while remaining professionally invisible. Catherine learned to create comfortable working relationships that acknowledged their professionalism while respecting their need to maintain security focus. Understanding when conversation is appropriate and when silence is required helps ensure that security arrangements function smoothly while preserving the human connections that make constant proximity manageable. Public relationship boundaries became essential as Catherine learned to manage interactions with crowds, media representatives, and officials who all have different expectations and requirements for access and attention. Developing consistent approaches that satisfy public interest while preserving private space required establishing clear internal guidelines for what could be shared, discussed, or acknowledged in various settings. Charitable organization relationships required Catherine to balance genuine commitment with institutional neutrality, supporting causes she cares about, while avoiding political implications or conflicts with other royal family priorities. Building authentic partnerships with charity leaders and beneficiaries means investing time and emotional energy while maintaining awareness that royal patronage carries responsibilities that extend beyond personal interest or involvement. International relationship management became increasingly important as Catherine's role expanded to include diplomatic and cultural responsibilities during overseas visits and state occasions. Learning to navigate different cultural expectations for royal behavior while maintaining British royal traditions required studying customs, consulting with diplomatic experts, and developing sensitivity to nuances that could affect international relationships. The media relationship presented unique challenges as Catherine needed to balance public interest with personal privacy, while understanding that public support depends partly on media coverage and public perception. Learning to work with photographers and journalists who follow royal activities without becoming manipulated by media interests required developing professional boundaries that preserve authenticity while serving institutional needs. Friendship boundaries became particularly complex as Catherine's new position affected existing relationships while making new friendships difficult to develop and maintain. Understanding which friendships could continue without creating conflicts of interest or security concerns required careful evaluation and sometimes painful choices about which relationships could be maintained at previous levels of intimacy and accessibility. The challenge of maintaining friendships, from her pre-royal life, meant finding ways to preserve meaningful connections despite security requirements, scheduling constraints, and the reality that her friends now faced public scrutiny and media interest that could affect their own lives and careers. Some relationships naturally evolved to accommodate these changes, while others required more formal distance to protect everyone involved. Parenting relationship boundaries required Catherine to balance her children's need for normal childhood experiences with the reality that they are public figures, whose upbringing affects public perception of the monarchy's future. Creating protective space for family life while preparing her children for their eventual public roles means constant evaluation of what experiences can remain private and which must accommodate public interest and institutional requirements. School relationship management became crucial as Catherine worked to ensure her children's education remained as normal as possible, while acknowledging that their presence affects other families and that their schools become objects of public interest. Building positive relationships with teachers and administrators while maintaining appropriate boundaries requires ongoing communication and mutual respect for challenging circumstances. Conflict resolution within the royal family demanded sophisticated skills as Catherine learned to navigate disagreements and tensions that could affect both family harmony and public perception if not handled carefully. Understanding when to mediate, when to maintain neutrality, and when to support William's position requires constant evaluation of complex family dynamics where personal feelings intersect with institutional interests. The process of managing family conflicts means developing thick skin for criticism while maintaining openness to feedback and growth. Catherine learned that some tensions arise from genuine differences of opinion or approach, while others reflect pressures and stresses that affect everyone in the royal family. Distinguishing between personal conflicts and institutional pressures helps in developing appropriate responses that preserve relationships while addressing legitimate concerns. Privacy boundary management became essential as Catherine learned to share enough personal information to maintain public connection while preserving the private space necessary for authentic family life and personal development. Understanding what aspects of her life could be shared through official channels and what must remain private requires constant evaluation and sometimes difficult choices about transparency versus protection. Community relationship building in her local area required Catherine to develop connections with neighbors and local officials while managing the reality that her presence affects property values, security arrangements, and daily life for everyone around her. Creating positive community relationships means acknowledging these impacts while contributing positively to local life where possible. Professional relationship development with other working royals required understanding how different family members approach their duties and finding ways to collaborate effectively while respecting different styles and priorities. Learning to work well with relatives who might have different opinions about royal responsibilities or public engagement requires diplomacy and flexibility. The mentorship aspect of relationships became important as Catherine took on senior royal responsibilities and began guiding newer family members through the same challenges she had faced. Understanding how to share experience and wisdom while respecting individual approaches and personalities requires adapting her own learning experience to help others find their own path within royal duties. Social circle management required careful curation as Catherine balanced her need for genuine friendship and support with the reality that her social connections could create conflicts of interest, security concerns, or unwanted public attention for friends who never chose public life. Creating sustainable social relationships means finding people who understand and can adapt to the unique circumstances of royal life while maintaining their own authenticity and independence. As Catherine's role within the royal family continues to evolve, she faces the unique challenge of honoring centuries of tradition while adapting to rapidly changing social expectations and modern realities. The unwritten rules that govern her daily life are not static relics from the past, but living guidelines that must be interpreted and applied in contexts that previous generations of royals never encountered. This dynamic aspect of royal protocol requires Catherine to become both student and teacher, learning from established traditions while helping to shape their future application. The digital age has created entirely new categories of unwritten rules that Catherine must navigate without historical precedent to guide her decisions. Social media presence, though managed by professional teams, requires understanding how royal dignity translates into online spaces where informal communication dominates and traditional hierarchies often disappear. Even when not personally posting content, Catherine must approve images and messages that will be shared instantly with millions of followers who expect both accessibility and authenticity. Photography in the smartphone era presents constant challenges as Catherine must assume that every public moment might be captured and shared globally within minutes. This reality requires maintaining royal composure and dignity even during brief informal interactions where previous generations of royals might have relaxed their formal presentation. The traditional royal wave must now work effectively for both professional photographers and countless mobile phone cameras simultaneously. Environmental consciousness has introduced new unwritten rules around sustainability and responsible consumption that Catherine must balance with traditional royal presentation expectations. Re-wearing outfits, choosing sustainable fashion, and supporting environmentally conscious brands creates positive public response while challenging traditional expectations about royal glamour and luxury. These choices require careful consideration of how modern values align with historical royal image requirements. Global communication means that Catherine's actions and choices are immediately interpreted across different cultures with varying expectations for royal behavior and gender roles. Understanding how her decisions will be received in Commonwealth countries, diplomatic partner nations, and international media requires constant awareness of cultural sensitivity while maintaining authentic representation of British royal values and traditions. The expectation for authentic emotional expression has created new challenges in balancing traditional royal reserve with public desire to see genuine human responses to both joyful and tragic events. Catherine has learned to show appropriate emotion while maintaining dignity, finding ways to express sincere feelings without compromising the stability and strength that royal presence is meant to provide during national celebrations and crises. Mental health awareness has introduced important new dimensions to royal duty that require Catherine to balance personal well-being with public service expectations. The growing understanding of psychological pressure and its effects means that royal family members can acknowledge stress and seek support while still maintaining public confidence in their ability to fulfill their roles effectively. Charitable work evolution reflects changing approaches to public service that emphasize long-term impact over ceremonial appearances. Catherine has learned to balance traditional patronage duties with deeper involvement in causes she champions, requiring greater personal investment while maintaining the institutional neutrality that allows royal support to transcend political and social divisions. Parenting in the public eye requires constant innovation, as Catherine works to provide her children with childhood experiences that prepare them for future royal duties while protecting their development and mental health. Creating normal family experiences within extraordinary circumstances means continually adapting traditional approaches to child-rearing while meeting modern expectations for child welfare and development. International travel protocols have evolved to reflect changing global dynamics and security concerns while maintaining the cultural exchange and diplomatic relationship building that define successful royal visits. Catherine must adapt to new security requirements while preserving the personal connections and cultural appreciation that make royal visits meaningful for host countries and their people. The integration of modern technology into royal duties requires understanding how traditional ceremony and protocol translate into virtual events, online engagements, and digital communication platforms that reach broader audiences while maintaining the dignity and significance of royal presence. This technological adaptation accelerated dramatically during recent global challenges, but continues to evolve as digital engagement becomes increasingly important. Climate change considerations now influence everything from travel decisions to event planning, requiring Catherine to balance environmental responsibility with the global reach and accessibility that effective royal duty demands. These considerations affect everything from clothing choices to transportation methods, creating new criteria for evaluating the success and appropriateness of royal activities. Educational advancement and women's equality have created new expectations for how Catherine uses her platform and influence to support progress while respecting traditional values and institutional stability. Balancing progressive advocacy with institutional neutrality requires careful navigation of social issues where royal influence could make significant positive impact. Future succession planning adds another layer of complexity as Catherine must prepare for eventual greater responsibility while supporting current family leadership and maintaining focus on present duties. Understanding how her current role development affects future institutional needs requires long-term thinking while staying grounded in immediate service opportunities. The unwritten rules themselves continue to evolve as Catherine's experiences contribute to the ongoing development of royal protocol for future generations. Her successes and challenges become part of the institutional knowledge that will guide future royal family members, making her not just a practitioner of these invisible guidelines, but a contributor to their ongoing development. Mentorship responsibilities for future royal family members require Catherine to understand not just how to follow unwritten rules, but how to teach them to others who will face different circumstances and challenges. This teaching role demands deeper understanding of the principles behind the rules rather than just their practical application. Legacy consideration influences how Catherine approaches every aspect of her royal duties, understanding that her interpretation of royal responsibility and protocol will affect public perception of the monarchy for decades to come. This awareness adds weight to every decision while providing motivation for thoughtful, principled approaches to challenging situations. Personal growth within institutional constraints requires Catherine to balance individual development with collective responsibility, finding ways to evolve personally while maintaining consistency in her public role. This balance between personal authenticity and institutional requirements represents perhaps the greatest ongoing challenge in navigating unwritten rules that were developed for different times and circumstances. The ultimate success of Catherine's navigation of these unwritten rules may be measured not just by her own adaptation and service, but by her contribution to their thoughtful evolution for future generations who will face challenges and opportunities that today remain unimaginable. Her legacy will include not just adherence to tradition, but wisdom in adapting eternal principles to changing times. The 21 unwritten rules that govern Catherine's life continue to multiply and evolve as new situations require new interpretations and applications. Each challenge overcome and each success achieved adds to the body of institutional knowledge that guides royal behavior, making Catherine both student and teacher in the ongoing development of modern monarchy. Her journey from Kate Middleton to Princess of Wales represents not just personal transformation but institutional evolution, as the monarchy adapts to serve contemporary society while honouring the values and traditions that have sustained it through centuries of change. Through her careful navigation of these invisible protocols, Catherine has demonstrated that the unwritten rules of royal life are not barriers to authenticity, but frameworks for service, not limitations on personal expression, but structures that enable meaningful public contribution. Her mastery of these guidelines has allowed her to create space for genuine connection while maintaining the dignity and stability that royal presence provides to both celebration and crisis. The future will undoubtedly bring new challenges that require further adaptation and growth, but Catherine's foundation in these fundamental principles provides a solid base for continued evolution in response to changing circumstances while preserving the essential values that make royal service meaningful and relevant in contemporary society.